Success stories typically follow a predictable pattern. Someone has a brilliant idea, works tirelessly, overcomes obstacles, and eventually achieves wealth through determination and intelligence. These are the stories that inspire business books and motivational speeches. Then there are the people who became millionaires by being spectacularly wrong, accidentally creating something they never intended, or stumbling into fortune through pure dumb luck. 1. A pharmaceutical researcher accidentally created Viagra while trying to develop heart medication, turning a failed drug trial into a multi-billion-dollar product. The scientist was testing a compound meant to treat angina when participants reported an unexpected side effect. The original heart medication was a complete failure with disappointing results. Researchers were ready to abandon the project when they noticed male participants were reluctant to return their unused pills. The accidental discovery led to testing for a completely different purpose. What started as a cardiovascular failure became one of the most profitable pharmaceuticals in history. The researchers' mistake led to discovering a treatment for erectile dysfunction that created an entirely new pharmaceutical market worth billions annually. 2. Someone accidentally bought a website domain that was one letter off from a major corporation and made millions selling traffic to competitors. The person had made a typo while registering a domain and ended up with one that people constantly mistyped when trying to reach a famous brand. They noticed their accidentally purchased typo domain was receiving massive traffic from people making the same spelling mistake. Advertising networks were willing to pay significant money for access to the mistyped visitors. The person turned their domain registration mistake into a profitable business. The original company tried to sue but couldn't prove intentional infringement on what appeared to be an honest mistake. The accidental typo domain generated substantial income for years before selling for millions. 3. A cook accidentally left potatoes in a fryer too long and created potato chips, turning a kitchen mistake into a snack food empire. The chef was working at a resort when a customer complained that fried potatoes were too thick. Frustrated, the cook decided to spite the customer by slicing potatoes as thin as possible and frying them until crispy. The punishment backfired when the customer loved the accidentally created ultra-thin crispy potatoes. Other diners began requesting the same thing. The cook had accidentally created an entirely new food product while trying to annoy someone. The mistake evolved into a packaged product that launched a snack food industry worth billions. 4. Someone accidentally invented Post-it notes while trying to create super strong adhesive, failing so badly they created a multi-million-dollar product instead. The chemist was attempting to develop the strongest adhesive possible when they created one that barely stuck to anything. The weak adhesive sat unused for years because nobody could figure out a practical application. A colleague eventually realized it could be used for bookmarks that wouldn't damage pages. The accidental creation of removable adhesive led to sticky notes that became one of the most successful office products ever invented, generating hundreds of millions annually. 5. A programmer accidentally deleted a production database and created a backup system that made them millions in enterprise software sales. The catastrophic mistake nearly got them fired. In panic to recover the deleted database, they created an automated backup system to prevent the same mistake. The backup solution was more sophisticated than existing enterprise options. Colleagues at other companies asked if they could use it. The accidental creation became the foundation for a successful software company. The database deletion that almost ended their career instead launched a multi-million-dollar software business. 6. Someone accidentally invented the microwave oven when a chocolate bar melted in their pocket near a radar device, turning workplace carelessness into kitchen revolution. The engineer was working on radar technology when they noticed their snack had melted. The mistake of standing too close to the magnetron with food in their pocket led to realizing the device could heat food. The accidental melting of chocolate led to developing technology that revolutionized home cooking and generated billions in appliance sales worldwide. 7. A scientist accidentally contaminated a petri dish and discovered penicillin, making medical history through laboratory sloppiness. The researcher had left bacterial cultures uncovered before going on vacation. Upon returning, they noticed mold had contaminated the cultures and killed the bacteria. Instead of discarding the contaminated samples, they investigated why the mold was killing bacteria and discovered it produced an antibacterial substance. The laboratory mistake of leaving cultures exposed became one of the most important medical discoveries in human history, saving millions of lives and generating enormous pharmaceutical wealth. 8. Someone accidentally invented vulcanized rubber by dropping rubber mixed with sulfur onto a hot stove, turning a clumsy kitchen accident into industrial revolution. The inventor had been experimenting with rubber for years, trying to make it more durable. The accidental dropping of experimental compound onto the stove created a chemical reaction that made rubber stronger. The clumsy mistake of dropping materials created a manufacturing process worth billions and transformed rubber from a curiosity into one of the most important industrial materials worldwide. 9. A factory worker accidentally left a batch of soap solution mixing overnight and created floating soap, launching a best-selling product from a timing error. The worker had forgotten to turn off mixing equipment before leaving. The overnight mixing whipped so much air into the soap that the resulting bars floated in water. The company initially considered it defective. Customer responses were surprisingly positive, with people specifically requesting the floating soap. The mistake of overmixing became the product's main marketing feature and one of the most recognizable soap brands in history. 10. Someone accidentally invented safety glass when a laboratory flask coated with plastic cellulose fell and didn't shatter. The scientist knocked over the flask and was surprised when it cracked but didn't break into dangerous shards. Instead of just being relieved, they investigated why the flask behaved differently and discovered the plastic coating held pieces together. The accidental discovery led to developing laminated safety glass for automotive windshields that has saved countless lives and created a massive billion-dollar industry. 11. A chemist accidentally created artificial sweetener by not washing their hands before lunch, discovering saccharin through poor hygiene. The researcher had been working with coal tar derivatives and forgot to wash their hands before eating. They noticed their food tasted unusually sweet and traced the sweetness to the compound on their unwashed hands. Most safety-conscious scientists would have been horrified by the realization they'd contaminated their food with laboratory chemicals. Instead of focusing on the hygiene violation, the chemist recognized the commercial potential of the sweet-tasting compound. The accidental discovery of saccharin created the artificial sweetener industry. The poor hygiene that should have resulted in a safety violation instead led to a product worth millions. The mistake of not following basic laboratory safety protocols led to discovering the first commercially successful artificial sweetener. The accidental tasting of laboratory chemicals became a fortune through patent protection and licensing deals. 12. Someone accidentally invented cornflakes by leaving boiled wheat sitting out too long, turning food spoilage into breakfast cereal empire. The cook had been making bread dough when they were called away and forgot about the boiled wheat for several hours. The wheat became stale and unappetizing, and most people would have simply discarded the spoiled food. Instead of throwing it away, they decided to process the stale wheat through rollers to see if it could be salvaged. The stale wheat formed into flakes that became crispy when baked, creating an entirely new food product. The accidental discovery of the flaking process led to experimenting with different grains, including corn. The breakfast cereal created from the mistake of leaving wheat sitting out became one of the most successful food brands in history. The kitchen error of forgetting about food led to building a cereal empire worth billions. The spoiled wheat that should have been garbage became the foundation for the modern breakfast cereal industry. 13. A photographer accidentally double-exposed film and created a striking image effect, turning a technical error into an artistic technique worth millions. The mistake of exposing the same frame twice should have ruined the photographs completely. Instead, the overlapping images created an ethereal artistic effect that looked intentional. Clients who saw the accidentally double-exposed images requested the same effect for their own photographs. What started as an embarrassing technical error became a signature artistic style. The photographer began deliberately creating double exposures and built a reputation for the distinctive look. The artistic technique derived from a mistake led to gallery exhibitions and high-paying commercial work. The error that would have failed photography class became a profitable specialty. The accidental double exposure created a career and income stream from what should have been unusable film. 14. Someone accidentally invented the slinky by knocking springs off a shelf, turning workplace clumsiness into toy industry success. The engineer was working with tension springs for naval equipment when several springs fell to the floor. Instead of just picking them up, they noticed the springs walked down steps in an interesting way. The accidental observation of falling springs led to recognizing their potential as a toy. The springs designed for maritime applications were completely repurposed for entertainment. The toy based on accidentally dropped springs became one of the most popular toys of the 20th century. The mistake of knocking over equipment led to selling millions of toys worldwide. The workplace accident created a toy company worth millions from springs that weren't supposed to fall. The clumsy moment of dropping springs led to building a successful toy business from a naval engineering error. 15. A baker accidentally used the wrong temperature for cookies and created a texture that became more popular than the intended recipe. The mistake of setting the oven incorrectly should have resulted in a ruined batch that got thrown away. The accidentally underbaked cookies had a chewy center that customers preferred over the intended crispy texture. Requests for the wrong cookies outpaced demand for the original properly baked version. The baker realized their temperature mistake had accidentally improved the product. The error became the new standard recipe, and the chewy cookies became the bakery's signature item. The mistake led to expanding the business and opening multiple locations based on demand for the accidentally created cookie texture. The wrong oven temperature was worth more than the correct temperature would have been. The baking error created a competitive advantage and business success from what should have been a failed batch. 16. Someone accidentally created champagne by bottling wine before fermentation finished, turning a winemaking failure into luxury beverage. The winemaker had bottled wine prematurely during cold weather that stopped fermentation temporarily. When spring temperatures arrived, fermentation resumed inside the sealed bottles, creating carbonation. The spoiled wine with bubbles was initially considered a defect that made the wine unsellable. Some bottles exploded from the pressure, creating a dangerous storage situation. Tasters who tried the accidentally carbonated wine found the bubbles appealing rather than off-putting. The winemaking mistake became a deliberate process for creating sparkling wine. The error that should have ruined the wine created one of the most expensive and prestigious beverage categories. The accident of premature bottling led to champagne becoming associated with luxury and celebration, generating billions in sales worldwide from a mistake. 17. A chemist accidentally created super glue while trying to make clear plastic, failing at the original goal but creating an adhesive empire. The researcher was attempting to develop transparent plastic for gun sights during wartime. The experimental compounds kept sticking to everything in the laboratory, ruining equipment and experiments. The failure of creating sticky compounds instead of clear plastic was frustrating and seemed worthless for the original purpose. Years later, the same researcher realized the sticky failure could be marketed as an adhesive. The compound that ruined experiments became a consumer product that stuck things together instantly. The failed plastic project became a successful adhesive product, generating millions in sales. The mistake of creating the wrong product was more valuable than successfully creating the intended clear plastic. The laboratory failure became a household product found in millions of homes worldwide, proving the wrong result can be the right product. 18. Someone accidentally invented the ice cream cone by running out of dishes at a fair, turning a supply shortage into an iconic food combination. The ice cream vendor had sold more ice cream than anticipated and exhausted all serving dishes. In desperation, the vendor partnered with a neighboring waffle maker who rolled waffles into cones as emergency containers. The improvised solution to a supply problem created a portable, edible serving container. Customers loved eating the container along with the ice cream, preferring it to dishes. The mistake of underestimating demand and running out of supplies led to inventing an icon of fair food. The accidentally created ice cream cone became the standard serving method, worth more than traditional dish service. The vendor's poor planning resulted in creating one of the most recognizable food combinations in history. The supply crisis solution became a permanent innovation that transformed ice cream service and generated fortunes for cone manufacturers. 19. A scientist accidentally left a culture sample in sunlight, and discovered a color-changing property, turning carelessness into photography technology. The researcher had violated storage protocols by leaving samples near a window where sunlight could reach them. The light-exposed samples changed color while samples in darkness remained unchanged. The mistake of improper storage led to investigating light-sensitive chemical properties. The discovery of light-reactive compounds became the foundation for photographic development processes. The careless storage that should have contaminated experiments instead led to technology that made photography possible. The scientific error created an industry worth billions as photography became widespread. The mistake of leaving samples in sunlight led to patents and wealth, while enabling visual documentation technology. The protocol violation was worth more than following proper procedure would have been. 20. Someone accidentally created a popular candy by letting caramel mixture cook too long, turning overcooking into a best-selling confection. The candy maker had been distracted and allowed the caramel to cook past the intended temperature. The overcooked caramel became hard and brittle instead of soft and chewy as planned. Instead of discarding the overcooked batch as a failure, they tasted it and found the texture appealing. The mistake of overcooking created a different candy type than originally intended, but equally delicious. The accidentally created hard candy became popular enough to manufacture intentionally. The temperature error led to a product line that generated significant revenue. The overcooking mistake created a product variation that some customers preferred over the original. The kitchen timing error became a deliberate recipe that built a successful candy business. 21. A factory worker accidentally mixed the wrong ingredients and created a cleaning product superior to the intended formula. The mistake of using incorrect materials should have resulted in disciplinary action for not following specifications. The accidentally created mixture cleaned more effectively than the product they were supposed to manufacture. Testing revealed the wrong formula outperformed the correct one in multiple cleaning applications. The company reformulated their product based on the worker's mistake. The accidental wrong mixture became the new standard formula and a best-selling cleaning product. The error that violated manufacturing protocols created a competitive advantage worth millions. The mistake of mixing wrong ingredients was more valuable than following the correct recipe. The worker's error led to bonuses rather than punishment once the improved performance was recognized. 22. Someone accidentally invented smoke detectors by leaving radioactive material near an ionization chamber, turning a storage error into life-saving technology. The researcher had improperly stored materials that created an unexpected ionization effect when smoke was present. The mistake of careless material storage led to noticing that smoke particles affected the ionization process. The observation from improper storage led to developing smoke detection technology. The accidental discovery became the basis for residential and commercial fire detection systems. The storage error that violated safety protocols instead led to technology that saves thousands of lives annually. The mistake created a product category worth billions in manufacturing and installation. The improper handling of materials led to a patent and wealth while making buildings safer. The careless storage created an entire industry from what should have been a safety violation. 23. A chef accidentally caramelized onions while distracted by other cooking, turning a timing error into a signature dish. The forgotten onions cooked much longer than intended, becoming deeply caramelized instead of lightly sautéed. The mistake of leaving onions cooking unattended should have resulted in burnt, unusable ingredients. Instead, the deeply caramelized onions had a sweet, complex flavor that was incredibly appealing. Diners who tasted the accidentally created caramelized onions requested them specifically. The chef's forgetfulness became a signature preparation that defined their cooking style. The timing mistake led to opening a successful restaurant known for dishes featuring caramelized onions. The error of distracted cooking created a culinary technique that became the chef's trademark. The forgotten onions were worth more than properly timed ones would have been. 24. Someone accidentally created scratch-off lottery tickets by using the wrong ink, turning a printing error into a gaming revolution. The printer had used ink that could be removed by rubbing instead of the intended permanent ink. The mistake of using wrong materials created a surface that could be scratched off to reveal information underneath. The error led to recognizing potential for creating concealed information games. The printing mistake became the basis for scratch-off lottery tickets worth billions in sales. The wrong ink that should have resulted in reprinting instead created a new category of instant lottery games. The accidental use of removable ink generated more revenue than the correct permanent ink would have. The printing error created an entire gaming industry from what should have been a discarded test print. The mistake of using the wrong ink led to a patent that made instant lottery tickets possible. 25. A researcher accidentally mixed cleaning chemicals and created a foam cleaner, turning a dangerous mistake into a million-dollar product. The accidental mixing of chemicals could have created toxic fumes or dangerous reactions. Instead, the combination created a stable foam that was excellent at cleaning surfaces. The mistake of improper chemical handling led to a product superior to existing cleaners. The foam created from the error became a best-selling cleaning product line. The dangerous mistake that violated safety protocols instead led to a marketable innovation. The accidental chemical combination created a product formula worth millions in sales. The error that could have caused injury instead generated wealth through product patents. The mistake of mixing the wrong chemicals was more profitable than using the correct combinations. 26. Someone accidentally invented the pacemaker while working on a completely different device, turning a circuit error into medical technology. The engineer was building a recording device when they used the wrong resistor value in the circuit. The mistake created rhythmic electrical pulses instead of the intended recording function. The error was noticed because the pulses matched the rhythm of a human heartbeat. The accidental pulse generator led to recognizing potential medical applications for heart rhythm regulation. The wrong resistor that ruined the original project became the basis for pacemaker technology. The electronic mistake created a medical device that has saved millions of lives. The circuit error generated wealth through medical device patents while revolutionizing cardiac care. The wrong component was worth billions more than the correct component would have been. 27. A baker accidentally left dough rising overnight and created a texture that became the bakery's signature, turning forgetfulness into fame. The mistake of leaving dough too long should have resulted in overproofed, unusable bread. Instead, the extended rising time created a light, airy texture customers loved. Requests for the mistake bread outpaced normal bread sales significantly. The baker's forgetfulness became an intentional process that defined their business. The timing error led to expanding production and opening additional locations. The overnight mistake created a competitive advantage and recognition in the baking community. The error of forgotten dough was more valuable than properly timed dough. The accident of leaving dough rising too long became a deliberate technique that built bakery success. 28. Someone accidentally created a best-selling perfume by spilling multiple fragrances together, turning a clumsy moment into signature scent. The perfume developer had knocked over several bottles simultaneously, mixing fragrances that were never meant to combine. The accidental combination created a complex scent profile that smelled better than any individual fragrance. The spilled mixture became the inspiration for a perfume that sold millions of bottles. The clumsy mistake led to a signature scent and a successful perfume line. The accident of spilling fragrances created a product that generated substantial revenue. The mistake that should have been cleaned up and forgotten instead became a bestseller. The accidental mixture was worth more than any carefully planned fragrance combination. The spilled fragrances led to wealth through perfume sales based on an accident. 29. A toy designer accidentally made a design error that became the product's most popular feature, turning a mistake into a million-dollar toy. The designer had miscalculated proportions, creating a toy that looked different than intended. Focus groups loved the wrong proportions more than the correct design. The mistake became the final product design that sold millions of units. The error that should have required redesign instead became the toy's defining characteristic. The miscalculation created a distinctive look that made the toy memorable and popular. The design mistake generated more revenue than the correct design would have. The error became a recognizable feature that defined the successful toy line. The wrong proportions were worth millions in toy sales. 30. Someone accidentally created a viral video by uploading the wrong file, turning a technical error into internet fame and fortune. The person had meant to upload a polished, edited video, but accidentally uploaded raw footage instead. The unedited, authentic footage resonated with viewers more than professional content would have. The mistake of uploading the wrong file led to millions of views and monetization. The accidental authenticity became the creator's signature style. The technical error led to sponsorships and opportunities worth substantial money. The wrong file upload was more valuable than the intended polished version. The mistake created an internet presence that generated income through ads and partnerships. The accidental upload became a career rather than an embarrassment. 31. A chemist accidentally synthesized a compound while cleaning glassware, turning laboratory housekeeping into pharmaceutical fortune. The researcher had been using cleaning solvents when residual chemicals created an unexpected reaction. The accidental synthesis during cleaning produced a compound with interesting medical properties. The mistake of not properly emptying glassware before cleaning led to drug discovery. The pharmaceutical application of the accidentally created compound generated billions in sales. The cleaning error that violated laboratory protocols instead led to medical innovation. The accidental synthesis created a drug that treated conditions previously difficult to manage. The housekeeping mistake was worth more than deliberate experimentation. The error during cleaning led to patents that made the researcher wealthy. 32. Someone accidentally baked cookies at too low temperature and created a product that outsold the original recipe. The temperature mistake should have resulted in undercooked, raw-centered cookies. Instead, the low temperature created an ultra-soft texture customers preferred. The error became a deliberate low-temperature baking process. The mistake led to bakery fame and expansion based on the accidentally created cookie texture. The wrong oven setting was more profitable than the correct temperature. The temperature error created a signature product worth building a business around. The mistake of setting temperature incorrectly led to success rather than failure. The low temperature error became a proprietary technique. 33. A programmer accidentally created an algorithm glitch that became a popular app feature, turning buggy code into monetization. The coding error created unexpected behavior in the software. Users loved the glitch and requested it remain in the final product. The mistake became an intentional feature that defined the app's appeal. The buggy code that should have been fixed instead became the app's most popular aspect. The programming error led to app success and substantial revenue. The glitch was more valuable than properly functioning code would have been. The coding mistake created a unique feature that competitors tried to copy. The bug turned into a feature worth millions. 34. Someone accidentally fermented fruit juice and created alcohol, turning spoiled food into the beverage industry. The ancient mistake of leaving juice too long led to discovering fermentation. The spoiled juice with alcohol content was appealing rather than disgusting. The accidental fermentation became deliberate alcohol production. The mistake of not drinking juice quickly enough led to human civilization's relationship with alcohol. The fermentation error created industries worth trillions globally. The spoiled juice was more valuable than fresh juice. The ancient mistake became beer, wine, and spirits industries. The accidental discovery of fermentation changed human culture and created enormous wealth. 35. A designer accidentally printed a pattern upside down and created a fashion trend, turning an orientation error into runway success. The printing mistake reversed the intended pattern direction. The upside-down pattern looked fresh and intentional rather than wrong. Fashion critics praised the bold design choice that was actually an accident. The mistake became a signature look that defined the designer's collection. The printing error led to Fashion Week success and major retail contracts. The upside-down pattern was more successful than the correct orientation. The accidental reversal created a trend that other designers copied. The mistake launched a fashion career from what should have been reprinted. 36. Someone accidentally left tea bags steeping too long and created a stronger brew that became a best-selling product. The mistake of forgetting about steeping tea should have resulted in bitter, undrinkable beverage. Instead, the strong brew appealed to customers who wanted bold flavor. The timing error became a product line of extra strong tea. The mistake of oversteeping created a market segment worth millions. The forgotten tea was more profitable than properly timed tea. The steeping error led to a successful specialty tea company. The mistake of leaving tea too long became a deliberate strong brew product line. The timing failure created business success. 37. A manufacturer accidentally made products thicker than specified and created a premium line, turning quality control failure into luxury brand. The production error created products with more material than intended. The thicker products felt more substantial and luxurious to customers. The mistake became a premium product line sold at higher prices. The quality control failure was more profitable than correct specifications. The manufacturing error created product differentiation worth millions. The mistake of using too much material became a selling point. The thickness error led to premium pricing and higher margins. The production mistake became a luxury line. 38. Someone accidentally recorded at the wrong speed and created a music effect, turning technical error into audio production technique. The recording mistake altered pitch and tempo in interesting ways. The wrong recording sounded better than the intended version. The error became a deliberate production technique used on hit records. The mistake of incorrect recording speed created a signature sound. The technical error led to producing successful albums using the technique. The wrong speed was more valuable than correct speed. The recording mistake became an industry standard production method. The technical failure created a career in audio production. 39. A chef accidentally substituted ingredients and created a dish that became the restaurant's most requested item. The mistake of using wrong ingredients should have been apologized for. Instead, customers loved the accidental dish more than the intended one. The substitution error became the menu's signature offering. The mistake led to restaurant fame and success. The wrong ingredients were more profitable than correct ones. The accidental substitution created the restaurant's identity. The ingredient error launched a successful restaurant career. The mistake became the reason people visited the establishment. 40. Someone accidentally created a durable fabric while trying to make something else, turning material science failure into textile fortune. The researcher was attempting to create one type of fiber when mistakes led to different properties. The failed material was stronger and more durable than intended. The error created a fabric superior to what the project was supposed to produce. The mistake became a textile used in countless applications. The material science error generated wealth through patents. The wrong result was more valuable than the correct result. The failed project became a successful material. The accident created a textile industry worth millions. 41. A photographer accidentally left the shutter open too long and created long exposure photography, turning timing error into artistic technique. The mistake of improper exposure should have ruined the photograph. Instead, the long exposure created beautiful light trails and motion blur. The error became an intentional photographic technique. The timing mistake led to gallery exhibitions and commercial success. The wrong shutter speed was more valuable than correct exposure. The accidental long exposure became signature artistic style. The technical error created a profitable photography specialty. The mistake launched an artistic career. 42. Someone accidentally left ingredients in a solution too long and created a food preservation method, turning negligence into food science. The mistake of forgotten ingredients led to discovering preservation properties. The spoiled food was actually preserved and safe to eat. The error became a deliberate preservation technique used in food production. The timing mistake created a preservation method worth millions. The negligence led to food science innovation. The accidental preservation was more valuable than intended use. The forgotten ingredients became a commercial preservation process. The mistake created a food industry preservation standard. 43. A musician accidentally broke their instrument and created a sound effect, turning equipment damage into musical innovation. The broken instrument produced unexpected sounds that were musically interesting. The accident became an intentional technique for creating unique sounds. The mistake led to developing new musical styles using deliberately damaged instruments. The broken instrument was more valuable musically than the working one. The equipment damage created signature sounds copied by other musicians. The accident launched a music career based on the unique sound. The broken instrument led to musical innovation and success. 44. Someone accidentally created a cosmetic product by mixing the wrong formulations, turning recipe error into beauty empire. The mistake of incorrect mixture should have been discarded. Instead, the wrong formula worked better than the intended one. The error became a best-selling cosmetic product. The mixing mistake led to building a successful beauty brand. The wrong formulation was more profitable than correct one. The accidental mixture created product line worth millions. The recipe error launched beauty industry success. The mistake became the foundation of cosmetic company. 45. And finally, a person accidentally bid on the wrong auction item online and ended up buying property that turned into $1 million development opportunity. They had meant to bid on collectible items but clicked the wrong listing and won an abandoned property auction. The mistake of bidding on real estate instead of collectibles should have been financially devastating. Instead, investigation revealed the accidentally purchased property had development potential nobody had recognized. The land was located in an area about to undergo major development that would increase property values dramatically. The accidental purchase price was far below the property's actual value once development plans became public. Within months, developers were offering many times the purchase price for the accidentally acquired land. The bidding mistake that could have been a disaster became a windfall profit of over $1 million. The wrong click on an auction site turned into the best investment they never meant to make, proving that sometimes the dumbest mistakes are smarter than the smartest plans. These stories prove that fortune doesn't always favor the prepared or the intelligent. Sometimes it favors the accidentally lucky and the spectacularly wrong at the right moment. What makes these mistakes particularly fascinating isn't just that they led to success, but that most of these people recognized the value in their errors rather than simply fixing them and moving on. The ability to recognize when being wrong is actually right takes a special kind of awareness. The lesson isn't that you should make mistakes deliberately, but that mistakes aren't always dead ends. Sometimes the wrong path leads somewhere better than the destination you were trying to reach, and the dumbest mistakes can be the smartest accidents. Subscribe if you enjoyed these stories of profitable mistakes, and remember that sometimes the biggest failures are just successes you haven't recognized yet.